Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jamie McDonald here with Mike Baining with episode number 18 of Mirrorless Minutes. Working title for this show, I guess, is Hello Summer Shooting because, man, it is hot here in the Midwest, like 85 and 137% humidity or something.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
Yeah, it is, definitely warm.
Hot one today, boy.
Yeah, I know. So how's it going, Mike?
It's going great. It's going great. Just had a great weekend in Philadelphia. Spent some time with some great Olympus shooters out there, and then Frank Smith too from the Visionary program. Boy, what a fun town! I got so many pictures. I don't really know when I'm going to get to them.
Yeah,
it's making me think. Oh, I've done this. I've taken all these pictures. When am I going to get to them?
Yeah, you definitely hit up some very cool locations while you were there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some that you've been at prison. Yes. I got a lot of people that say, was that just a friendly visit, or did they bring you in? I don't know what that was about. But that prison's something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. I just like the style of it. The way it's laid out is really cool. It's like this hub and spoke design.
Right.
Super cool. And for those who don't know, the name of it's the Eastern State Penitentiary. It's in Philadelphia. And it is open to public tours, and they are totally cool with photographers that come in there. So, I mean, you can actually get a photo pass so that you pay once and then you can visit throughout the year, and you can bring your tripod, and it's phenomenal.
You pay to get in. It was like $14 to get in, and $10 for the tripod little pin that you put on your bag, and you got it for the, the rest of the year.
Yep.
And really, there's tours going on, but there aren't that many people that you couldn't be down one of the other wings.
Right.
You're never really out of it that sense. But, that'd be a great place for a drone. I was thinking about it to fly up and around. Oh, man, you could do some crazy things.
Totally would.
Up and above it and stuff, because the way it's built, that quad or whatever it is, there's really like 7 spokes or something, or 9 spokes.
Right, yeah.
To the wheel. If you ever get a chance, anybody that's listening really should check out that Eastern State Penitentiary, and they really know their stuff too. The people going around that are doing these tours, they hand you like a cassette type thing or a CD player or something with headphones that you can play as you walk around as a self-guided tour. I didn't take one of those. I probably should have. But we bugged a couple people to tell us what was going on, in different areas. So a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun.
It's pretty surprising too, like you said, that when I was there, it was with an Olympus group. They brought us in, and it was quite a large group. I mean, in total, I think there were close to 20 of us. And I'll tell you what, it's like you said, we all split up, and we got to just kind of explore different wings. And I think we only ran into a handful of people at any point in time. It was pretty cool. It's definitely a place to visit if you're in Philadelphia, and if you are into urbex or any kind of old architecture or history, totally cool place to go for shooting, without a doubt.
Yeah, and if you're ever worried about urbex because you're nervous about going into an abandoned building, go here. I mean, they want you there, and it's very safe. There's bathrooms, and you can buy water.
That's a big thing too. If you're into urbexing, to have a bathroom nearby, that's a great thing, definitely.
I agree.
So, just out of curiosity, Mike, will you have any photos from there to share tonight?
I might have one.
That's awesome. Good.
Maybe 2. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't tease such a cool location to shoot at and not share maybe like 1 or 2 pictures.
Yeah, definitely have
super cool. That's awesome.
So what else is going on with you?
Not a whole lot, I've been spending a lot of time on the weekends up in just middle northern Michigan. We've got a camper on a campsite up there, and I've just been spending my time up there on the weekends. So that's kind of where I plan on being this weekend, shooting as well. Get out and do some landscape up there. Shoot along the coast. Lake Michigan is phenomenal for sunsets. I've been sharing a lot of that lately too. So
it's no different. I'll tell you what, I would rate it just as high. They might not have the big piers and all that, but just as high as the California coast.
Yeah.
Lake Michigan's amazing. And if you could get some driftwood and all that stuff that you've been putting in your pictures, and this last one, the one you did for what were you thinking? Is that what you're calling it? Yeah. I thought that was great with the sun and how you made how you pictured the sun to be larger.
Yep.
By using the right lens.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun place to shoot, and that's where I'll probably be this week. And there's a chance for stormy weather. So, me and storms, if I can combine storms and Lake Michigan shoreline together, then like holy grail moment for me, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll go with that. But
make sure you're like tied to something that you don't go out in the waves and end up in Chicago before out of Chicago.
Right. It's only a couple of weeks away. I suppose at my drift rate, I might make it there just in time.
Drift rate.
So let's talk about what we did the other week. We were kind of the tables were turned on us, I guess you could say. Roles reversed. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was great. Rob Kruger from it's Take and Talk Picks, and he's a new show, new podcast that came out. But he's putting himself together, I think, with some really big names. I mean, you've got to put Jim Farmer, he's had on there from his photography podcast. I know Fro Knows Photo he interviewed him, Jared Polin, a couple of weeks ago. So he's really going out there and he's talking to photographers. And I know when we both first started thinking about it, we're going, well, it's just going to be another show. But in the end, it wasn't even like a camera show. Yeah. We talked a little bit about what we carried or whatever, but very little out of the, I think, 40 minutes. But I would encourage anyone listening to this show or ever has listened to us, go check this out, because you hear a little bit about, maybe what makes us tick day to day as we go through our lives, but also like how the show came about, and what we try to keep the show and, I guess called keeping it real.
Yeah.
I was impressed. What did you think? I was pretty impressed with it.
It was really cool. I wasn't expecting the typical, what's your favorite camera? What do you like to shoot? Do you like flowers? This and that. Mm-hmm. But instead it was totally different. He hit a lot on, big time on the business side of things, and there are a lot of people mm-hmm. that, would dream about one day maybe making photography, if not, their sole source of income, a big part of it, So he kind of taps into his guests on, what they're doing as far as the business side of things go, what makes it work, what problems they've encountered in trying to get off the ground. And I thought that was totally cool, and it was nice to be able to talk about, the behind the scenes stuff of how you and I work, as far as, getting a website up and going and doing this bi-weekly show that we do and things like that. It's really cool. I was totally stoked to be on the show. I like that.
Yeah. And I think it fills in the gaps that a lot of people don't realize. Some do, but like how much work actually goes into doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we're not even the two polished guys of the United States. I can tell you that. But I mean, there's a lot of people behind things. I mean, like Terry, we talked a lot about Terry McKay on there.
Yeah.
But it's amazing when I got off the show, I thought, wow, there is a lot of stuff that we put together that I didn't even realize.
Right. Yeah.
You just keep rolling and you don't realize how much you're doing. And, it takes a lot of time to get all this stuff together. So I think you'll appreciate, I think anybody that likes this show would appreciate it. And I also think if you're ever thinking, like you said, about business, that's a great, good show to listen to. And he's got a great interviewing voice too, on top of it all.
Yeah, he's definitely got the radio
voice.
I'm like, damn, maybe I need a new mic because he sounds pretty awesome.
He sounded great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a great interview. And just to put it out there, we will be having Rob on our show as well. Mm-hmm. So if you do go listen to the show, you'll be able to put a face to that dulcet tones of Rob Kruger,
There you go.
So
what else you got? Yeah.
Well, I was thinking maybe we could jump into some photos. I'm kind of eager to see what you shot over in Philly.
Yeah. All right. Let's let me see if I can. I'm going to probably start outside of Philly. Okay. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Did you see the pop shop?
There we go. Yep.
All right. Well, this is actually at a flea market. And I wrote a post about this a couple of weeks ago. It was right after probably our last show that weekend. And, go and check this flea market out up in Croswell, Michigan. And believe me, from Detroit, that seems like it's 300 miles, but I know it's not. But the just try to take some pictures of just basic still life as I was there. Of course, I was shooting, people and taking some what I'll call fair photography, fair street photography, but just some cool things. And this is where you can really practice with your camera, putting it through its paces. And like this one here was, I had the Mark II, the EM5 Mark II, and with the 17 millimeter prime on, and it's just a lot of fun going and trying those things and just getting to see what kind of neat shots you can get at some of those places with the old stuff that people are trying to sell. So that same weekend, and I'll go to this one here. This is in Detroit. I'm not going to disclose any places by any means, but it's an old plant, and it's not one that a lot of people go to, so I can tell you that much. But when we started walking around this thing, doing some urban exploring in the morning, these sun rays coming in were absolutely amazing, and this place had dust was kicking up because the wind was blowing in. I couldn't believe when we turned and saw the corner and saw these rays. The first thing I had to do is, I probably spent 10 minutes framing about 5 shots on this just to get this one that I really liked. But really love this, and this is again with the EM5 Mark II. And 12 to 40 pro lens, about 1.3 second exposure, as it was dark, and the only thing really you saw there were that sun and those sun rays. And well, let's talk about Philadelphia. Now, these of course aren't all the prison, but we'll talk about it. This actually a very famous spot in Philadelphia. Anyone that's from there is going to know that. This is Boathouse Row, and it's right behind the art museum. These beautiful homes all lit up, and this is just at the end, just before dark, obviously the blue hour, and the balloon in back there is from, when you really zoom in on it, it's channel 6, I think, and they're doing something at the zoo. They have a big tethered balloon up there, and I don't know, I was shooting with Victoria Diaz, one of our listeners, I'm positive, and I know she's been in a few of the workshops that we've done together and come to mind, and Jamie's, but she knows the area well, and I was in for the weekend and then ended up spending a couple of days there getting some Philadelphia shots. But this balloon was fantastic that it was there that night. I was just ready for the houses. I didn't think we were going to get a balloon in there too. But the rows of trees and that were just a lot of fun. It's about this is again with the Mark II, the M5 Mark II, and the 12 to 40 lens there. And then the hotel that I ended up staying at was over by the old Naval Yard. And this is the graveyard for ships and destroyers from wars and the Navy. It's amazing just walking around looking at these ships. And I just couldn't believe we got out probably 8:30, 9 o'clock. Wasn't sunrise by any means, because the sun rises in Philly like at 5:30 in the morning. Way too early sometimes when you're out the night before shooting till midnight. But you could see how the reflection in this water, the water was so calm. And just literally after we left, the water started, the little bit of wake and the shake started coming. But I just wanted to work with the 12 millimeter prime here with on the 5 Mark II, but I really want to, and this might be one of the ones I do in how did you get that shot? I want to talk about how to frame some things in with the 12 millimeter prime. And I know you do it well too, Jamie, with that fisheye and trying to get something, in the forefront. The blurriness in the back is fine. Those are ships, but the things that they would tie these ships to are these bright yellow pylon things that are sitting, bolted down, and just really a cool area. No one bothers you. No one's around. A lot of fun to shoot there. Of course, I've got a bunch of sunset ones too, but I haven't got those out yet. I just looked at them and they look good. So here's the East State Penitentiary. And this is just one of the corridors. And as you can tell, like Jamie said, it's like a spoke. And, this is one of the hubs. And then off of this hub is all these hallways, 4, 5, 6 hallways from each side, each hub. And it's amazing architecture on top of a prison. Prison opened in I believe it was 1829. I wrote on my thing. Pretty sure I checked that out today. But this was, how inventive this was at the time. This is like their closed circuit TV. This is their security system. At the end of these hallways, they have these big mirrors, and where I'm standing taking that shot, if you stepped about another foot forward, you can really see down the hallways to the left and to the right and see what's going on. So a guard could stand there and watch what's happening in all these. I mean, and then look at what they put around the mirrors. I mean, how decorative everything is, and you can see how clean, obviously, like you said, if you want to do urbex, but you're a little nervous about getting into an abandoned building, this is a great place to come. It's because it's clean. It's, clean to the point where it's, they haven't tried to refinish it by any way. But, and if you go over here on the right, this one's got an interesting story. Right around the corner here in the cell that's right here is Al Capone's cell, which was very interesting to look into and see what that looked like. So yeah, the East State Penitentiary, this one shot with the EM5 Mark II, and this is an HDR, so it's three shots, three exposures, and that with the 12 to 40 pro lens. And I'll share one more, and that's it. And that's walking the streets of Philly. We did some street shooting too. Can't go there without doing street shooting. Used to live in Philly for a couple of years, so I know their streets are pretty lively. But had, I was working, of course, like I do all the time, I think. There never goes a weekend doesn't go by if I'm out shooting that I don't turn the camera on the art filters. Straight out of the camera, 17 millimeter lens on the Mark II, and the dramatic filter, the black and white portion of the dramatic filter. You don't have to do anything to it. It's fantastic to me. This old church sitting there, and of course, literally those are rain clouds, because 30 seconds later they opened up like a gushing. And I happened to be in a going back to the bar to pick up I'll admit it, my darn hat, my Olympus hat that I forgot. And the group we were with, Victoria and Frank and everybody, I said, hey, just stay here. Well, I left them out in the rain. I stayed back and watched the rain come down with the lemonade while they all were getting soaked. I actually didn't feel too bad after I, did that. But yeah, that was just a couple, just to show you, I think what that, especially that camera, the art filters, you can't go wrong. I know you're using them all the time.
Yeah, it's funny. It's one of those things that I wish people would give a shot more often. Everybody's so, I don't know. A lot of people, I think, initially think that they're, I don't need to use an art filter. I'm just going to do it in the camera, or I'll use a real program like Photoshop or whatever. But man, you get using them and you start to get an eye for where they work, and because they're obviously not going to work everywhere for every situation. But like the shot you just shared of that cathedral, that church, you knew what was going to work. You knew what the clouds, the way they were structured, and the texture on the building, what was going to work. And that's a perfect example of why I like the art filters, because you didn't go home and post process. It was boom, right there in the camera, and you can fire it out, via the Wi-Fi to everybody, like right now.
Yeah.
Super
cool. And that's what's fun too, is, you can do it right now, but even when you get back, the time it saves me from not having to sit and do all that for, when you take 600 pictures over a weekend, you're like, oh my God. But, I looked at the raws that I have of that one, the raw, and I could work on it. But I said, damn, that's what I was looking for.
Right.
That's what I wanted.
Yep.
So we'll go with that. And, keep experimenting. To anybody that uses them, every time we go out with a group, there's at least one that doesn't know that when you go into those art filters and you do your right toggle, that it opens up a whole nother set of art filters within that art filter.
Yeah. That's a good point to bring up too.
The 1 and 2, there's like black and white dramatic, there's a color dramatic. Then there's versions, especially like in the black and white, you can choose a red, a green, filters. Yeah. Little filters. So you really can even specialize all those art filters, which makes it even more so that you don't need that processing piece.
Yeah, it's another. It's one of those things that needs to be gone over in
We
our
do.
workshops.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I think we had some workshop like that.
Yeah,
And there might be a couple
sounds
more. You never
familiar.
know.
All right, so my screen share is going to be way shorter than yours because I honestly just haven't been as active as you lately. So I'll just go over what I've got, and let me start with this one first. So I started off out of order here. So this was just shot, and the reason I wanted to share this is because this photo hit Explore on Flickr, and for people who aren't familiar with Flickr, it's a big photo sharing site. And then every day, out of all the pictures that are uploaded, they choose like 500 or maybe 1,000 that they post onto this thing called Explore. And for me personally, it's kind of a cool thing to have it hit Explore because I think there's something like 10 or 12 million photos a day that get uploaded to Flickr. And if you're in the top 1,000 for whatever reason they choose them, it's kind of a cool, exciting thing. But really, one of the main reasons I wanted to share it on here, though, is just because I can talk about the fact that this was not shot with a brand new lens. This was, again, shot with one of my old vintage lenses that's from the early 70s, a Minolta MD Roker X 50 millimeter 1.4. Just, again, talking about those things that you can do with the mirrorless cameras. I have like a $10 adapter I got from Amazon to mount these old MD lenses onto my EM5 Mark II. And the perk of having, the electronic viewfinder like we have is that getting focus using an old lens like this is a piece of cake when you can hit a button that I have programmed to magnify it, 14 times. And if I'm zoomed in 14 times, I can get the focus nailed perfectly, or using focus peaking. I first started getting into using the legacy glass on DSLRs, actually, and my keeper ratio was pretty low because I had no way to make sure focus was great. So I just kind of wanted to share this because it seemed to be something that was pretty popular on Flickr for a minute with like 5,000 views in one day. And it's funny too, because I had several people message me and say, that was shot with an old piece of glass. What was it? So I don't know how people know that we shot with an old piece of glass. I don't know if it's the way the bokeh turns out or what.
I was just going to say, yeah, it might be the wrong.
But it was funny that people knew. So again, just kind of wanted to share that, again, one of the perks of going mirrorless is that you don't have to spend a fortune on brand new lenses. If you don't have the money right away, you can go to Goodwill and pick up a lens like this for $10. Next shot, it's the one you spoke about earlier, is part of my ongoing What Were You Thinking series. It's over on my website, jmcdonaldphoto.com. I'm doing a monthly series where I take a photo and then I just kind of go behind the scenes into what it took to make the photo, why I did it, gear used, inspiration behind it, and how everything worked out. And this was, we were talking about West Michigan, and this is where I'll be going back to again. This is in Grand Haven, Michigan. It's on Lake Michigan. It's only a couple hours from my home. Sunsets there are, like Mike said, they're phenomenal, man. You get on Lake Michigan and it's like a California dream out there. It's beautiful sunsets every night. And I'm not, the big street shooter or people shooter so much as like Mike is, but I knew the shot that I wanted to take when I got there, and I wanted to get a person framed by the reflection of the sun as it sets. And that's kind of what I did. Is I sat there with the OMD EM5 Mark II, and I had the 75 to 300 on. And the reason I went with that lens, I could have reached this person reasonably well with a shorter lens, but to keep the sun looking large in the scene like that, you need a long focal length. If you shoot with a wide lens, for those who aren't aware of how this works, if I would have shot this at like 12 millimeters, the sun would have been just this little dot way off in the background, and obviously the person would too. But even at 75 millimeters, the person would have been a little bit larger, but still the sun wouldn't be quite as big and dramatic as it is in this shot. So if you want a big sun at sunset, get the longest telephoto lens you've got and use that. And if you go to my website, like I said, I kind of explain the exact settings that were used and why those settings worked for this shot. But, again, I love going to the beach and shooting sunsets here in Michigan. And the other thing I like to shoot is storms. So we finally had what would be like the first semi-real storm here in Michigan, at least in my area. And that was on my birthday, Monday. So happy birthday to me.
Yeah, happy birthday.
And it was
one. We should have made you wear that hat.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we were going to head out to the grocery store and do some grocery shopping that evening. And we just stopped for a quick bite to eat at the Applebee's up near my house. And we're sitting there eating. And I look out the window and notice, man, it's looking dark out there. And my wife sees me keep looking outside. And she leans over to look out the window to get a better look at what I'm looking at. And she looks at me and says, "You just going to drop me and the kids off at the grocery store and go shoot the storm, aren't you?" I said, "Well, yeah, let me look at the radar." So that's what I ended up doing here. And I just drove off into the countryside, maybe like 5 or 6 miles from where they were shopping, and just sat and let the storm roll in. And it looks like a bracketed shot, but this is just a single photo. It just kind of, I maybe should have shared the original so I could show you just how much of a change I got from a single frame to this tone mapped version. But this was shot with the EM5 Mark II and the 12-40. And this was shot, I think, probably at 40 millimeters. I was a ways away from that farm. So I wanted to bring the farm kind of more, a little bit closer to me, but still wanted some sky in it. So I did the composition that I really like to do when I'm shooting landscapes. I do portrait orientation landscapes, and I tend to compose with maybe like the bottom quarter of the image has land, and if there's good sky, then I compose the rest of the scene with sky. So it's pretty much what it was. I haven't had a whole lot of shooting in the last like 2 weeks since the last show, so I didn't have a whole lot to share. I don't bring much
Well,
to
I'll tell you what, on that last image, and you have proven this over and over again with your shots, you got to try vertical on these landscape shots, because I know everybody loves the horizontal, and it's great. I mean, I think that's the first one you shoot.
Yeah,
usually it seems like, but when you flip them that way and you get that barn, or just like you did that barn that's in the distance, that's fantastic, because you really want to focus on the storm, and that's the cool piece. That's why you went out. I mean, it would have looked nice in a sunny day, but the storm makes it look much cooler.
Right.
For sure. So, well, let's see. You want me to talk about this bag?
Yeah, let's do that.
Talk about this bag.
I
tried out a new bag, and not that I figured I just needed another bag, because it's been at least a month since I bought one. Like most photographers, of course, this comes with a precursor that it's not the perfect bag. No bag is. That's why you have so many. But I tried, one of the things when I go out for street shooting is I'm only carrying usually the lens that's on the camera, the 17. Maybe I'll carry another lens, one other lens, and that's about it. Bottle of water and some extra batteries. So I wanted something light, so I went for this Tenba, and we'll see, maybe you can see some of it here.
Oh yeah.
And this Tenba bag is this new one. It's called the Pack Light. And I'm going to open it up real quick, because you got to buy the insert and the outside separately. And when I travel, I've only got I carry on a briefcase, or a suitcase. So I'm going to have my clothes, obviously, and I've got to, find a place for my camera equipment. The equipment goes in first, and then I decide what to wear. So here's the container, and I don't want to tip it too far. That'll hold. That goes inside this thing, and it flips out, which is neat, because when it's in the bag, you don't want this top flapping around, but you can just zip the top, and there's the zipped top, and then you just carry it around. It's got a little carry handle and all your equipment in here. I've got the Mark II. I actually, in this one, put the 12-40, and I never leave home without the fisheye, the body cap fisheye. You never know when you're going to need that. And then the 17. So I put 2 batteries and a couple cards in there, and I'm ready to go. But the key piece is you pack it in that, throw it in your bag. But this is the neat thing. On the side, there's a little water bottle holder. This is very thin. You probably can hear it rustling here. This whole bag, and I'll never be able to do it in time for the show, but it folds inside that holder. So it ends up being, this is a thing of Moo cards here. It ends up being about that big.
That's cool.
So you just throw that anywhere you want. Throw that in your briefcase if you want. And you pull that out, slip the insert in, and you're rolling. And
that is cool.
Super light. super thin. I would call it rainproof. I wouldn't call it waterproof. It's not like a think tank bag that's going to be so waterproof. And like Jamie and I know, I usually only shoot with think tank bags.
Trainer.
But the bonus, I'm going to give you a bonus here that revolves around think tank, and that is this one is I'm looking at my notes here. This is the BYOB 9 camera insert. This fits perfectly if you have the think tank Perception number 15. It's the middle one of that. It fits perfectly in the bottom. So you actually, because it's a big wide open bottom in that Perception, you can put a lot of stuff in there. But if you want to place with a couple pads for some extra lenses, right here, just buy this thing. This is perfect.
Super cool.
Yeah, so you dual purpose. We'll put the link in the show notes, and it's a lot of fun. And I know I'll probably end up showing both of those at Out of Chicago, I think, because that's going to be a big part of our presentation. Is how do you pack and what do you do when you travel? So, and that is, let's see, what is today's date? That is getting pretty darn close, isn't it? Just about 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Out of Chicago.
Exciting.
We've been talking about it for 8 months now. So, how about you? What do you have that you might want to feature?
All right. So I know this has been mentioned before, but I'm actually going to show the physical product, and that is this awesome book from Rocky Nook. They do all kinds of awesome manuals, and this one's Mastering the Olympus OMD EM1. And at the risk of sounding foolish, I don't want people to get the wrong impression of you or I, but I use these cameras a ridiculous amount. Obviously I do. I must.
Mm-hmm.
But I go through this and I'm like, wow, okay, I guess I didn't realize that. Or holy cow, you can do that too. So I just want to mention that I think if you're considering any of the OMD line, because if I'm not mistaken, they have one for the EM10. Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know if it's EM10. I know.
Or is it the first EM5? I know the Mark II. There's one coming out.
Mark II's coming out, but I think
the Mark II is coming out. Or if you're getting the two newest cameras from Olympus, how about that?
Right.
Consider this book. It would be a worthwhile investment. I'm not a technical book reader. Oh, good grief.
Gosh,
it is.
That's a lot of pages.
Yeah.
I know I started to read the one I have.
You're like 500 pages.
Yeah.
Just a fuzz over, like 505.
Well, yeah.
And, like I said, I don't care how much you shoot. I shoot an insane amount. Mike shoots an insane amount. And we dig through and we play with these cameras more probably than the average person would. And still finding information in this book that I didn't realize, it's, again, like I said, I'm not a technical reader. I enjoy something that's not like a manual, but it's easy read. It's not hard to work your way through it and find what you want in it. And for those who are considering maybe picking up a book like this, we do have a promo code. If you use Mirrorless Minutes as a promo code, they'll knock some off the price. And I honestly, off the top of my head, do not remember what that discount saves you.
Yeah.
But
it does save you some money, because
a penny saved is a penny earned. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, use the code.
I don't think you hear us on this show too often pitch products. So when we do pitch products, it's probably because it's worth the pitch. So I seriously, I wouldn't put my name behind something if I didn't believe in it. And this book is killer.
Yeah, what's funny is I read through. Her first thing I did is I grabbed the live composite section because I wanted to see what he said about it.
Yeah.
I read through those 5 pages and a different 5 pages on some art filter stuff. And out of those 10 pages I read, I bet you I picked up 3 tips I had no idea that the cameras did. And they were, because part of it he writes, and it's not necessarily like the manual, but it's more technical. But after every piece, he writes down his suggested settings. And that's where he goes into, here's what you really could do. And not a lot of books are written like that.
No, you're right. And that's what separates this from a manual, is this has an actual user feel to it. So
yeah, exactly. That you're right. And I think it took him, because I know he runs a couple Facebook sites too. Is it Young? That's the person who wrote it. I think his last name.
Daryl Young.
Daryl Young, yeah. And I know it takes a while to write it.
I can't even imagine.
He's been writing it for a while.
Yeah. And, like Mike said too, we do know that there is a book in the works for the EM5 Mark II. which has even more features than the EM1 does. So that's pretty cool. So again, you know, I definitely recommend this, and it's from Rocky Nook Picture and Pen Press. And of course, you know, like usual, there'll be links to both the bag that Mike showed, the insert for the bag that Mike showed, to this book. And I'll probably make sure that a link to Eastern State Penitentiary shows up. So if you're in Philly with family or solo or whatever, it's totally worth a visit. It's such a cool place, family friendly. So if you want to drag your wife or spouse or kids or whoever with you, you know, while you shoot, then you guys are all fun.
You could actually leave them on the tours.
Yeah. Yep. Let them find you in a cell somewhere. You'll be fine.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to talk about one last thing, and that's the workshops. And first off, some stuff we've got going. We still have a couple spots in our downtown, the small town workshop, and I've been scouting some places that we're going to do in the city for the night portion. And I'm blown away because I found 2 or 3 over the last week and a half that I have never seen anybody take shots of. So I don't even want to reveal them. So I want to get some real special shots out at night when we work on our night stuff. And I know we have some special barn situations, and maybe even an antique barn that who knows if we can talk the guy into letting us in. I've heard we can, and that would be really cool. But also tomorrow I'm going to start releasing. It's out now on my website. But we're going to do a Toronto workshop. So we're going to go out of the country. And, you know, for those of us in Detroit, Toronto doesn't seem that far. I guess it's 4 hours. But we are going to go out of the country. We're going to do some street shooting in Toronto. We're going to do some night shooting, live composite stuff. And then the next day, we're going to go into Toronto's version of Old Car City. It's called McLean's Auto Salvage Yard. And just acres and acres of cars from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, rusted out, overgrown, trees growing through them, you know, rusty, crusty old cars. Nothing cooler to take pictures of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's going to be a blast. And that'll be like on our way back. So look for that on my website. You know, I'm going to do that workshop in August 22nd, I believe it is. And check it out, because Toronto has some amazing things to offer in the city. A huge city. Yeah,
definitely, it's a big city.
So you got to check that out. What else with you? Because that is it for me.
That's about it. I mean, if we're starting to talk about the August time frame, and this is really early to be talking about it, but I'll mention it anyways. And that is the Scott Kelby photo walk that comes up every year. Every year for the last, I think, 4 years, I've hosted a Kelby walk, and this year is going to be no different. This one's going to be in conjunction with Mike, though, and I think we're going to be focusing on the east side of the state. Last year, it was centrally located in Lansing, Michigan. This time, we're looking maybe in the Ann Arbor area. So, and we might do this in conjunction with not only Olympus, but probably with another sponsor as well. So just keep your ears tuned for info on that. It'll probably be a really killer Kelby walk this year, and that's an August date as well. So
and sign up early, because boy, that filled up fast, and everybody came. I think we had a few people that never intended to come that came.
We surpassed the sign up. I think the sign up is limited to 50 people. 50, I think we were close to 70 people. So
70 people ended up showing up, which was awesome.
And it'll be a good time.
Definitely.
So I guess we're gonna wrap it up. We definitely filled up our 30 minutes and a few. So the next time you talk to us or see us or watch us or whatever, interact with us, it's going to be just a few days before Chicago's event, which is super exciting. And again, I'll just do a really quick plug. If you're free the 27th, 28th, am I getting my dates right there?
27th. It's like 26,
26, I guess is when it really technically starts. So 26th through the 28th in Chicago, really cool shindig, I guess.
Yeah.
And just visit outofchicago.com. And again, there'll be links to that after the show. And it's hot in this room, so I'm going to get out of here. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks again, Mike. And I guess
everybody.
See you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Bye.